Today I want to talk about 7-stroke rolls. It's probably the most commonly used roll for traditional rudimental drumming, and it's one of the ones that I get the most questions about from my students. So we're going to talk about how does it work musically, how do you phrase it, because there's some options there. And we're going to talk about the mechanics of counting the roll, the mechanics of performing the roll. So whether we're talking about 7-stroke rolls or any other, there's going to be some tips in there for that too. So stick around to learn all things about 7-stroke rolls. Okay, first, this is a 7-stroke roll. 7 hits of the drum, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay, so that's what a 7-stroke roll is. On paper, it can be notated a few different ways. And the first way we're going to look at is a straight 16th note based notation. So we got 4 16th notes here and a final hit there. We don't need that part yet. We'll get to that part later. So we bounce the first 3. That gives us a total of 7 strokes. Okay, and if you were going to count this, it would be like 1 E and the is there. This isn't exactly how you'd see it on paper. We're going to get to that in a second. But this is one of the ways that it's subdivided out and phrased. Okay, so this form is 1 E and a. And actually it could be like continuously looped if you wanted to do it that way. But it's just even 16th notes for the background, the skeleton of the roll, if you will. And you can loop it. When you loop it, it gets a little bit more of that straight 16th note vibe to it. The other way that you could phrase this roll is based on a triplet pattern. And it would look like this. Triplet up there, end of the roll right there. All right. And to count this, there's all different ways to count triplets. Some people will say triplet hit, triplet hit. I like to say big itty bump, big itty bump. Some people say 1 lolly, 2 lolly. You know, pick your poison, and whatever works for you is what you should use. Okay? But this one, instead of 1 E and a, is going to be biggity bop. Biggity bop. Okay? Versus this form. Okay, we have a triplet form. So those are the 2 different ways we can phrase a 7-stroke roll. Something to notice, it starts with the left hand every time. I'm not going to start them on my right hand. They're usually never written that way. 99.99% of the time, they're written to start on the left. It's sort of a tradition to do that. Part of the reason why is because in music, this roll is used as sort of a pickup into a new phrase. So starting with the left puts the start of the new phrase right here on your right hand, which is most people's dominant hand, and which is why traditionally that's why it starts on the left. So I don't practice it with my right. There's something about that 80-20 rule, that Pareto principle, that I like to use in my practicing and the way that I teach. And it's basically like find the 20% that you do, which brings you 80% of your results. So we're still going to learn how to do rolls starting on our right hand. But this particular roll doesn't need to be played that way. But if it ever does, I think I've seen one, maybe two instances in the last 25 years of playing drums or so where it was on the right hand. And because I could execute rolls starting on my right hand, it wasn't a big deal. It didn't really hold anything back, or it wasn't a huge practice issue for me. So 7-stroke rolls, all right? The first thing we're going to do now is an exercise that is for a 16th note based 7-stroke roll. And in this exercise, it's going to show us sort of how it fits in musically. Okay? So we're going to do this exercise at 80 beats per minute. It's based on 16th notes. The first measure is going to be our check pattern, or the skeleton of the roll. And the second measure will be with the roll. Here we go. Ready and play and. One more time through. Okay. Now, the other way this roll is phrased is based on a triplet pattern like we saw before. And in the music, when this exercise pops up on the screen, you'll notice that it's actually written this way. So here's the triplet, right? We're starting on an accent with the right hand. We got our roll here, left, and on the right. Okay, now, this phrasing, it's sometimes referred to as a delayed roll, a delayed start to the 7-stroke roll. Because with this triplet pattern, we're starting on the and of the beat, okay? But with the 16th note pattern, we'd be starting the roll here, left, right. We'd be starting the roll on the E of the beat. If this is beat 1, we'd be starting the roll here, because this is a 7-stroke roll and this is a 7-stroke roll. This is just a tap from what would be the roll previous to that roll if we were looping them. So this version, this triplet version of the 7-stroke roll is delayed by a whole 16th note. Now, it's not perfectly metronomic all of the time because we play with musical phrasing, we play with musical intention. So there might be times when the rest of the ensemble you're playing with pushes that a little bit closer to the second note, a little bit past the and there'll be times where they start it maybe a little before the and. Usually they're gonna delay that a little bit past the and. It might feel like things drag there a little bit, but as soon as you hit this accent at the end, your tempo is back in solid, okay? That's the concept behind the delayed 7. That's a phrasing thing that's very common in this traditional rudimental style of playing drums. Usually there's a fife part, sometimes a bugle part involved melodically with these rolls that will kind of help us determine where do we start? Are we on the beat? Are we before the beat? Are we after the beat? All right, so here is the exercise with the triplet based 7-stroke roll. If you want to play along, my metronome is at 80 beats per minute. Here we go. And. One more time. Okay, so something you'll notice in that exercise is that at the start of the roll, we're going to lift our sticks. We're going to get both of our sticks to the same height. And that's really important because a lot of times this second note for a roll isn't equal to the height of the first note, and you might get something like this, where that roll sounds uneven because the left hand's coming up higher. So the start of your roll, you're going to lift. I'm exaggerating right now, but when I go at tempo, you'll watch the same thing. Look for that lift before the roll. Here we go. Check it out again. Ready? Here it is. And so it's not a perfect together lift, but this right hand comes up to the same height as the left to make that even. So lift at the start of your rolls. Don't play through the drum head. Play on the surface. You're lifting the sound out on the surface of the drum head as soon as the sticks touch it. You're pulling the sound out, and then the accent is strong. The accent can be played sort of to the bottom head, through the top head. So weight of the arm to the bottom head for the accent, so it's nice and strong. This one, same thing, but because it's closer together from the previous accent, there's not as much of a lift. Check it out. So the lift is happening, but it's a little bit faster and it's a little bit closer to the drum. Check out the lift again. We have one more exercise for you. This is a less common way for the roll to be phrased in music, but we should be ready for it because it does happen. So instead of the roll starting on the and during a triplet pattern, it's going to start on the beat, but it's still condensed, usually. All right, so here it is. If you're playing along, metronome is at 80 beats per minute. Here we go. Okay, so if you're really listening, if your ears are highly tuned, you would have noticed that I wasn't always perfectly with that metronome. And in my head, I was thinking of a melody and playing to that. But you'll notice that as soon as the accent happened, I was back in time and back with that metronome. So there is a give and a take. There's an ebb and a flow when you're playing this. And the best way to learn how to do that is to listen to it a lot. Just like if you're playing jazz or any other style of music, listening to it will help you get it faster. But now you know what to listen for, and I think that's a huge advantage. Okay, the last thing that we're going to talk about is a 7-stroke roll breakdown, a traditional roll breakdown. We're going to start slow, we're going to build it to our fastest, and then we're going to slow it back down. All right, here it is. We're going to start up high like this. Try to keep your sticks level. If you play match grip, you look like this, and that's okay. All right, if you're in the traditional game, you're going to look like this. We're going to start slow with arm strokes to speed it up to wrist strokes, and then our fingers get involved to help transition it into a double stroke. Here we go. All right, some things I want to point out for you that will help you practice this. As you get faster, your sticks get lower and lower and lower. And then as you get slower, you're lifting those tips of the sticks up with your arm lift. Let those wrists be flexible too. And you're back here. As you lift, it's going to really help you pull the sound out and slow you down. Okay? right there I was sort of in performance mode. So I was just going to whatever was my fastest today, and then I went back down. If I was in practice mode, I might have went a little bit beyond to where it sounded good. I might have gone one smidge of a tempo faster to where the roll might have felt like it was falling apart, or there's a little extra tension building in my body, and then I would have gone back. The advantage to doing that is you start to let your body and your brain experience that tempo. So it can start to make connections on how to get itself there, how to, oh, that's a problem, that didn't work, how do I fix it? And your brain will just start making connections with your body, and it just helps you get there faster, okay? But don't spend too much time practicing at that fast of a tempo where it is falling apart and it's not sounding good and there's extra tension, because that creates injuries and that creates bad habits. And it's always harder to break a bad habit than it is to form a good habit in the first place. So practice slow with it. If your fastest right now is to here, and then you have to slow down, that's okay. That's a good place to be. And then we'll work on other things to get you faster, like those exercises, bumping those up with your metronome. We were at 80 today, bump it up to 90, 91, 92. See if you can get to 110. That's a pretty good tempo to try to get to. And if you have to start slower than 80, that's okay too. Don't rush your progress. Build it consistently with intention in how you practice, and you will get better faster, and you'll have less bad habits that stick with you for a lifetime, or just give you years of spinning your wheels trying to break through those bad habits, because I've been there. My students have been there. The slow, consistent, intentional practice is the best way to improve and make it easy and effortless and make drumming more fun, because that's what we should be doing. If we're playing drums, we're doing it because we think it's fun. So keep practicing. Comment in here if it was something you want to see. Let me know if you thought this was helpful. But give me what you want, because I want to make more of those videos for you that will help you while you continue to improve your snare drum chops, all right? Like and subscribe if you haven't yet, because I don't want you to miss a video. And have fun drumming. I'll see you guys next time.